Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic.
Hinata made her way to the Hyuga compound for her regular visit with a small smile on her face. She wasn't stupid and made sure that her visits with Hanabi were done without the potential repercussions of being easily discoverable. The last thing she wanted was for Hanabi to suffer at the hands of their father just because she was seeing her. Naruto would be away on a mission, but he made sure to see her before he went, and that's when she did what most would have considered impossible. Flashback. Hinata was sitting in the living room of Naruto's apartment. She didn't really feel comfortable with calling it their apartment yet, even if Naruto was okay with it. Naruko had popped herself a few minutes ago and made Hinata promise to act and be brave the next time she saw Naruto, and even though Hinata promised that she would, she didn't know if she could keep to her word. She wasn't really worried about why it was taking so long for Naruto to come back. If he went on a mission, then at least she would have more time to summon her courage in order to ask him out. Her hopes were dashed, however, when the front door suddenly opened and in walked the man of her dreams. "Hey Hinata-chan." Naruto greeted enthusiastically when he saw her sitting on the couch. "En Naruto-kun." Hinata greeted back shyly and mentally sighed sadly. She was never going to change, was she? "I just came to tell you that I'll be gone for a few days because I gotta do a mission in the Sand Village," Naruto said. "Oh, okay." Hinata replied a bit less nervously. She felt so touched that he came back just to tell her where he would be, the man of her dreams indeed. "Give me a minute to pack up and I'll be out in no time," Naruto said, smiling at her as he made his way to the bedroom. Well, he came to pack too, but that didn't matter. She looked down at her hands on her knees. She was truly pathetic. How many opportunities would she have before it was too late? Here he was. Here he was. What the hell was wrong with her? If this was the way she was going to act for the rest of her life, then she didn't think she even deserved his attention. "Okay Hinata-chan, I'm all packed up and I'll be back in a few days," Naruto said and made his way to the door, but before he could even touch the knob he was blindsided by a shout. Hinata didn't know what came over her, whether it was all those failed attempts or her self-pity, but she couldn't, and didn't want to, stop her body as she shot to her feet and shouted, "Wait! What's wrong Hinata-chan?" Naruto asked, a bit startled at her shout. Hinata looked around nervously after she realized what she did. Oh great, now what? She was struggling not to faint again. No. Enough was enough. Her indecisions and unease would be the death of her, and she was sick of it. If she could act the way she wanted around her sister, then why not the love of her life? No more. Hinata looked at Naruto with so much determination that her mind was only focused on one thing and one thing only, Naruto. "Naruto-kun," Hinata said seriously without so much as a stutter. Naruto, for his part, was becoming a little bit nervous. He had never seen Hinata look at him the way she was right now. Was she angry at him for something? He certainly hoped she wasn't going to hurt him. Even if he was a cage-level shinobi, he would never lay a hand on her, but he squashed that thought. This was Hinata, for pit's sake. "Yeah," he replied back. "I know this sounds weird and out of the blue, but the spring festival is in a month and I'd really like it if we went together," Hinata stated. She prayed that he wouldn't be so dense and treat it as friends, just hanging out, and invite their other friends to come along. "Sure thing Hinata-chan. We can get the off." Naruto didn't get a chance to complete his statement because the look Hinata was giving him told him she wasn't happy with his answer. "Naruto-kun, I meant just the two of us," Hinata clarified. She was using every ounce of willpower not to faint right now, and the only thing keeping her focused was the possibility of this being her last chance to have a chance with him. "Just the two of us," Naruto repeated and went into deep thought. He was confused, to say the least. What exactly did she mean? Should the two of them just hang out without the others? There was something more to this though. Hinata wanted the two of them to go to the spring festival together, just them and no one else. It took a while, but he finally put all the pieces together. "Wait, like a date?" Naruto asked in surprise. He never would have expected it to be a possibility of someone asking him out. Well, Sakura was a prospect, but even that was in his wildest fantasies when he was 12. He didn't even think anyone wanted to go out with him, but maybe he never paid enough attention to the female populace, and even so, it wasn't like he was looking for a relationship at the moment. What should he do? This was definitely a serious subject, and he had to think carefully before he said something stupid. Yes, Naruto-kun, Hinata replied and waited with bated breath for his answer. So he guessed right. He thought about it, really thought about it. Hinata was cute, loving and caring, everything he liked about her. He never really thought about dating her, but he would be lying if he told himself that he didn't feel at least something for her. The thought of going out with Hinata on one date didn't sound so bad to him, and he didn't really want to treat Hinata like Sakura treated him in the past when it came to the whole dating thing. Isn't it supposed to be the guy that asked out the girl? He said with a cheerful grin. Please answer me, Naruto-kun, she pleaded, she just couldn't wait anymore. I think. Naruto took a dramatic pause just to annoy her a bit. Naruto-kun, Hinata whined. She wasn't even worried about fainting anymore. The only thing she desperately wanted was a positive answer. That would be a great idea, but let me, Naruto said as he walked to an elated but confused Hinata. Hinata-chan, will you go to the spring festival with me? Naruto asked. He felt like she should be the one to deserve the option, not him. Hinata pretended to think about what he said. I'd love to, Naruto-kun, Hinata replied, giving him the most beautiful smile he had ever seen. Naruto looked at her. This would definitely be interesting. So why do you want us to go on a date anyway? Naruto asked confusedly. Sigh, I want us to enjoy the festival together, Hinata replied and sighed in relief when she saw that he bought it. She wasn't going to tell him yet, fearing she would faint before it even came to that, but at least she had a chance with him at the most romantic event of the year, the spring festival. She still couldn't believe he said yes, and better yet, he asked her out too. God, she loved him. He always found a way to make sure the people he cared for actually felt his care. Okay, that's cool. I gotta go now, but I'm looking forward to our little date, Naruto replied with his famous foxy grin and then left the apartment. As soon as Naruto left, Hinata fainted, but this time she had huge grin on her face. Flashback end. It was like a dream to her. Naruto and her were finally going out, even if it was just one date. She was mostly surprised at herself for her courage. It would come and go at times, but never like this. She felt so proud of herself for achieving phase 1 of her lifelong dream, like really, who would have thought it? She giggled like a schoolgirl. This was so amazing. She quickly masked her emotions when she approached the Hayuuga compound. No way in hell would she give these people any advantage on her. She went through the gates and greeted the guards politely, knowing full well that they wouldn't greet her back. She made her way through the Hyuga compound and went straight to the branch area where she saw Neji with Tenten and Rock Lee. Hey guys, Hinata greeted them politely. They greeted her back accordingly. Wow, Hinata, you positively glowing today. What happened? Did you get lucky last night? Tenten asked mischievously and received sputtering from the poor Hyuga girl. No. Hinata stuttered out. Tenten-chan, Hinata-chan would never do something so unyouthful. Lee screamed. Unless it's with Naruto, Tenten added with a giggle. I'll see you guys later. Hinata hurried away from them so she wouldn't get any unwanted ideas. Not cool, Tenten, Neji said stoically, but his mouth did twitch. Hinata made her way carefully to Hanabi's sleeping quarters. There was a reason why she visited Hanabi at this time in particular. Reason being, it was the time when her father would be involved in important meetings or in his office sorting out important documents, giving her perfect time to see Hanabi and leave before she was discovered. Hanabi wasn't allowed to see her, well, officially anyway, but that didn't stop the two sisters from sneaking around and keeping in contact with each other. Hinata had her doubts that Hanabi would commit to this, but was pleasantly surprised with Hanabi spending every single time she could with her. She concentrated when she approached Hanabi's room, and when she opened it she saw the two occupants. Hey, Hanabi-chan and Akane-chan, Hinata greeted. Hinata. Hanabi greeted enthusiastically, then quickly composed herself when she realized she was with Akane, and Akane was looking at her like she had grown a second head. Hello Hinata-san, Akane greeted as well. Hinata met Akane 2 days ago when she came to see Hanabi. Akane was a sweet and innocent girl, and Hinata knew she would be a good influence on Hanabi, which was great. So what are you two doing? Hinata asked. Nothing really, Hanabi shrugged. We were just talking about random things, Akane replied. No, you the one who's been talking, Hanabi replied irritably, but Hinata saw through it and knew Hanabi's didn't mean it. Sorry, Akane said sadly. Hinata gave Hanabi a look and Hanabi sighed. I didn't mean it like that, Akane, Hanabi said softly. Akane smiled at Hanabi and Hinata felt happy for them. Things were just falling into place. Arg, I hate traveling for so long. Naruto shouted out, annoying anyone in the vicinity. Naruto-kun, how many times have I told you that you're so annoying? Tamari said irritably. I don't know. 12 times. Naruto guessed and everyone groaned. Naruto, we've only been on the road for a few hours and we'll only arrive in Suna tomorrow, so I don't think now is a good time to complain, Kakashi said, reading an old classic of his favorite book. Okay. I'll complain later, Naruto said nonchalantly, and everyone groaned again. So Naruto, how have you been doing lately? Sakura asked and checked to make sure that Kakashi and Tamari were not listening in on their conversation. Pretty cool, and you, Sakura-chan? Naruto asked, being polite. It's been alright, but I was wondering something, Sakura said, eyeing him. What's on your mind? Naruto asked. Do you think I'm attractive? Sakura asked. Of course I do, Sakura-chan. Naruto said. Okay, so why won't you ask me out anymore? Sakura asked curiously. Well, to tell you the truth, I realized that I liked our friendship more than a potential relationship, and besides, I'm not the same impulsive kid I used to be, Naruto said. Sakura frowned. So does that mean you don't have a crush on me anymore? Sakura asked, surprised. You'll always have a special place in my heart, Sakura-chan, but I know that even if I did ask you out, the results will be same as they always were, Naruto replied. But what if I was willing to give it a try? Sakura tried. Surely he should be getting where she was going with this. Then I'd accept it as you and me going out as friends, Naruto said, thinking that's what she wanted to hear him say, since she wanted him to be more mature, and besides, he really didn't want that kind of relationship with her anymore. What if something happened there that conveyed more than friendship? Sakura asked impatiently. Don't worry, Sakura, I wouldn't try anything to jeopardize our friendship, Naruto replied offhandedly. What an idiot. Sakura silently fumed. She was getting nowhere with this. Why did he have to make things so difficult? She couldn't just tell him that she wanted to date him, because she would lose power over the topic, and the one that she loved was being in control of any situation. She decided not to go any further with the topic for today. So what happened 2 days ago at Tsunade's office? Sakura asked, changing the subject. Well, Naruto began. Flashback. Naruto made his way into Tsunade's office. He saw the Hokage herself sleeping on the job inside. He saw Sakura earlier downstairs, and she told him he would witness this if he came in at the moment. For a fleeting moment he thought about making a prank here, but then decided, for the betterment of his health and safety, that he would not commit such an act, yet. Hey Ba-chan, wake up. Naruto shouted, and Tsunade woke up with a start. What the hell, you damn brat? Tsunade shouted. I'm here as you requested, Naruto said seriously. I see. Take a seat and let's begin, Tsunade said a bit groggily. So Naruto went on explaining everything from the beginning, including Kyuubi's participation in getting rid of the caged bird seal that was on Hinata. Tsunade knew the Kyuubi was not to be blamed for the attack that happened 16 years ago, but she was still weary of the beast. She trusted Minato's seal and knew the Kyuubi couldn't have a significant influence on Naruto. Besides, from what she was hearing, Kyuubi or Kurama was actually a nice individual, if she wasn't being mind-controlled. The Kyuubi being female was news to her too. She needed to know if the fox wasn't planning something that might involve the death of her people. Naruto, it isn't wise to just trust anyone or anything that shows you kindness, Tsunade said seriously, expecting Naruto to understand her meaning, but all she got in return was a glare. If you're trying to insinuate something about Kurama, then just drop it. Yes, she was involved in the Kyuubi attack all those years ago, but she wasn't in control of herself. She even healed me every time I got hurt, even if she was mostly thinking about her own survival more than mine. She has shown who she is these last few months, and I can honestly tell you that she has no ill intention towards anyone. She even forgives my father for imprisoning her and doesn't hold a grudge against Konoha, Naruto said seriously. She could be trying to try. Tsunade was cut off. Look, I know it's hard to believe, but trust me, Kurama has a good heart and she wouldn't hurt me. I trust her. Fine, but I'm still not convinced yet. Is it possible to speak to her? Tsunade asked. Sure. She can hear and see you, but she can't speak back, so I'll speak for her, Naruto said, and then the conversation continued from there. Flashback end. Oh, by the way, what I told you is an S-rank secret, so don't tell anyone, Naruto said. Yeah, sure, you can count on me, Sakura said. What are you two doing back there? Come on, we need to pick up the pace. Temari shouted over her shoulder as she dashed forward onto some trees. Naruto and Sakura focused and went after Kakashi and Temari. They almost forget about the urgent matter at hand. Whatever was happening in Suna would be discovered soon enough. Finally, we're here. Naruto screamed excitedly. He was used to coming to Suna with all the missions he'd done in the past, but the hot desert was still something that annoyed him to no end. He marveled at the size of the sand village. Ever since the whole fiasco of Akatsuki, this place really took a turn for the better. Yay! Sakura said unenthusiastically. She wasn't exactly in the mood for anything, because even if it was early in the morning, the heat of the sun was beating down on her relentlessly. Plus, with her failed attempt to get Naruto to ask her out, then her mood would be considered justified right now. Okay, come on, let's hurry, Temari said as they quickly went through the gates of Suna and made their way through the village to the Cage Tower. I'll kill you, Gaara said venomously. Wait, Gaara, you've got to relax. Kankuro shouted frantically. No, I have had enough of you, Gaara said as he shot sand to the nuisance. An explosion was emitted from the vicinity. No, Kankuro screamed in despair. That will teach you not to mess with me, Gaara said, glaring. Arg, what's wrong with you? Now we have to start with the paperwork all over again, Kankuro said angrily. It was annoying me, Gaara said, glaring at the broken table with torn paper. And the table? Kankuro asked, annoyed. Nothing but a casualty, Gaara said simply. We really gotta get you a girlfriend, man, Kankuro said bluntly. So I leave for a few days and you two are already up to no good, Temari said when she opened the door and saw the mess in the office. Hey, don't talk to me. Talk to our cage, Kankuro said, glaring at Gaara, who just shrugged his shoulders. You too, Temari shook her head. Hey Gaara, Kankuro, Naruto greeted them. Oh hey Naruto, Kankuro greeted upon noticing the visitors. Uzumaki, how are you doing? Gaara acknowledged with his usual calm demeanor. Great, Gaara, but I see you still as impatient with paperwork as ever, Naruto smirked. Don't worry, once I'm Hokage I'll show you how to do it right, Naruto replied. Looking forward to it, Gaara smiled. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm aware that we were summoned here on urgent matters, Kakashi cut in. He didn't want to, but they had a job to do. Yes, Kakashi-san, you are correct, Gaara stated. So could you explain to us what's going on here? Sakura asked. I'm sure Temari has given you a brief explanation on the situation, Gaara said, but got a sheepish shrug from Temari. I thought you could do better, she replied sheepishly. I see. Well, to start off, 5 days ago I sent a few shinobi around the village for their regular patrols, and in order for the patrols to be successful, then the range that the patrol units are supposed to cover is large. As expected, the patrols were going accordingly and the circulation of shinobi deployed and returning back was exceptional. However, problems started to become visible with patrols from the west area of the desert not reporting in after their patrol hours were finished. I sent a further number of shinobi to check and make sure nothing bad had happened, and to my surprise they all returned with the missing patrolman and woman, but that wasn't the surprising part. All of the ninja were extremely drained, to the brink of unconsciousness, and with further analysis it was discovered that they had lost a significant amount of chakra from their systems. For a moment I thought it was due to chakra exhaustion, but it was discovered that the chakra was forcibly taken from them. I asked a few of the conscious shinobi of what happened, and I was told that they were attacked by a cloaked woman. Ever since then I have called all shinobi from their patrols in order to increase Suna's defense against a potential threat, Gaara surmised. No way. You and I are the most powerful people around here, so let's go find this lady and kick her butt. Naruto said with a fist raised. Don't be an idiot, Naruto-kun. We have no idea what we're dealing with. Tamari said irritably. No, Tamari. Naruto is right, Gaara stated. Oh hell no. You're not going anywhere, you hear me, Gaara? Tamari shouted angrily. She wasn't going to let this happen. She almost lost him to Akatsuki and she wasn't going to let that happen again. We can't just wait for the inevitable. I'm Kazekage and it is my duty to protect this village, and with Naruto and his friends providing assistance then it should work out fine, Gaara said. I'm coming with you and we're bringing 10 Jonin ranked shinobi with us, Tamari gritted out. Tamari, I don't think you should go, Gaara was cut. To hell with what you think. Call me when it's time to leave. Tamari said angrily and stormed out of the office. What's wrong with her? Sakura asked curiously. Ever since Akatsuki came into the picture, Tamari has adopted an overprotective sister persona and won't allow me or Gaara to do anything too dangerous, even if Gaara is Kazekage, Kankuro sighed. Well, that's understandable, I mean she's just worried about you, Naruto said with a smile. Yeah, Gaara said. So when shall we leave? Kakashi asked. Tomorrow morning. I would like to ask if you could provide medical assistance in our hospital, Sakura, Gaara said. It's all right, it would be my honor, Gaara, Sakura said. Thank you, all of you, Gaara replied, truly grateful. No problem, Gaara. So where can we stay until tomorrow? Naruto asked. I've arranged accommodation for you. Kankuro will show you the way, Gaara said. All right then, we'll see you tomorrow, Kakashi said as they made their way out of the office. Great, if only I could get someone to clean this mess, Gaara stated irritably as he stared at the broken table with sand. Naruto was walking around the village alone. Kakashi and Sakura were staying in their hotel rooms that they were provided. He was looking for Tamari, but he didn't really know where to find her. As luck would have it, he found her at the one place he never expected her of all people to be, a ramen restaurant. She looked really sad and torn. She also looked a little bit tipsy, and he could see the reason was the sake on the side. Hey, Naruto greeted as he took a seat next to her. I'm a bad sister, Tamari asked bluntly. Why do you ask? Naruto asked carefully. I know sometimes I may seem mean and angry towards my brothers, but I really do love them. Why can't anyone see that? Tamari said as she downed another cup of sake. We all see it, Tamari-chan. Naruto smiled softly at her, but she still seemed unconvinced. When Akatsuki almost took them away from me, I didn't know what I would do. Without them in my life, I don't know how I could move on. I don't want to lose them. I almost them once, Tamari said and wiped her face to stop the tears that were coming out. It's okay, Tamari-chan. Look, I know you care for them. If you didn't, then you wouldn't act the way you do. There's nothing wrong with it, I promise, said Naruto reassuringly. Thanks, Tamari said and stopped drinking altogether. Will you need help getting home? Naruto asked. Nah, I'm not drunk, Tamari smiled. All right if you say so, Naruto said and then caught something. What are you looking at? Tamari asked as she also turned to see. The Spring Festival, Naruto stated as he stared at a poster. Yeah, I almost forget about that, Tamari said as she eyed the poster and then Naruto. What? Naruto asked when he noticed her stare. So who are you going with, huh? Tamari asked seductively. I'm going with Hinata, Naruto said nervously. What? You're not taking me? Tamari asked. Well, Naruto couldn't think of anything. Ha 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 ha. Relax, I'm only teasing, Tamari said mischievously. Oh, so wait, who are you going with? Naruto asked. I'm going with the laziest guy on the planet, Tamari said in mock exasperation. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, you and Shikamaru were going out, Naruto said embarrassed. Exactly, and do expect me to cheat on my boyfriend by going out with you? Tamari asked, raising an eyebrow. No way, Naruto shouted. My point exactly. Good for you though, you and Hinata, Tamari smirked. Yeah, Naruto said nervously, but he didn't know why he was feeling that way. Finally, I was wondering when you would notice, Tamari said. What are you talking about? Naruto asked. Never mind, I'll see you tomorrow, Naruto-kun. Thanks for the food, she called out as she made her way out of the restaurant. Food? Naruto questioned and got his answer in the form of a bill. Damn you, Tamari, he said as he made his way around the village. It was late now and he knew he should be resting, but he didn't care. He looked into the distance and saw that all too familiar cherry blossom hair. Hey Sakura-chan, Naruto shouted. Hey Naruto-kun, you just the person I've been looking for, Sakura said, smiling in his direction. She soon realized a while back that she was doing everything wrong in order to obtain his attention, so now she was going to do everything to let him know that she was available for him. What's up? He asked, noting she called him Naruto-kun instead of just Naruto. There's this beautiful new park they made and I wanted us to check it out, Sakura said sweetly. Sure, if that's what you want, Naruto shrugged. Great. She beamed at him, then took hold of his hand and led him in the direction of the park. They arrived and there was no one in sight. Sakura knew this was perfect. They sat and talked for a little while, mostly on their lives and finding out more about each other. Sakura had to admit that this was probably one of the most precious moments she'd ever had with anyone other than her parents and Ino. Okay Naruto-kun, we need to get to a serious subject, Sakura said. She felt like an idiot. If she wanted to date him, then she had to be direct and not discreet. What is it, Sakura-chan? Naruto asked. I know that on many occasions I disregarded your affection towards me, but now I'd like to say that I'm really sorry for that and I would like to go on a date with you, Sakura stated as she stared deep into his eyes. For years he waited to hear those words come out of her mouth, but right now he felt empty. He cared for her greatly, but not to the extent of dating her. She had been a part of his life and he didn't want to lose her over this, but he couldn't lead her on either. I love you, Sakura-chan, Naruto said. He saw her smile brightly and regretted what he was about to say next. I'll always love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. I'm sorry, but I don't feel the same way I did all those years ago. You'll always be special to me, but I realized that we can't be anything more than really close friends. Please don't be mad at me, Sakura-chan. I'd hate myself if I was the reason for you hating my guts and not being a part of my life, Naruto said honestly. Sakura's expression was unreadable and Naruto was expecting the worst. When Sakura leaned in, Naruto closed his eyes and braced himself for a punch, but to his surprise he felt a light kiss on his cheek and his eyes locked on Sakura as she pulled away. I'm not mad at you. I can never be mad at you, even if I do get angry at you sometimes. You following what you feel, and although I'm disappointed, I understand your reasoning. You are really a good guy, Naruto, and the girl that you'll end up with will be so lucky to have you, if she can stand your obliviousness, Sakura giggled at the last part. I'm really sorry, Sakura-chan, Naruto said sincerely. It really tore at him for doing this. Naruto-kun, I love you too, Sakura smiled and stood up. Will you ever forgive me for this? Naruto asked as he also stood up. Sakura bonked him on the head. You idiot. Of course I forgive you. Sakura replied. Ouch, okay. So I guess we better make it back before tomorrow, Naruto said as he started walking. Sakura lingered for a bit and stared at his retreating form. He had definitely grown up, and even though she was disappointed, a part of expected this. You are so lucky, Hinata, Sakura thought. Come on, Sakura-chan, Naruto said. Coming, Sakura said as she made her way to Naruto, and then they made their way to the hotel. The next day, they had been walking for a few hours in the desert, followed by 20 of the highest ranked jonin that could be taken. Temari wasn't taking any chances. Naruto was getting bored again. All he saw was sand and more sand, and he was starting to hate the color of it. He was about to say how bored he was when he saw a building in the distance. The place itself looked like it was made of continuous circulating sand because the sand kept moving. That is the area Kazekage-sama, one of the Jonin said. I do not see anything that warrants for an attack, Gaara said, eyeing the building in the distance carefully. Wait, look. Temari said, pointing to the direction of the building. They could see a silhouette right in front of the building, as if expecting their arrival. Welcome, the cloaked woman greeted. So have you been the one giving our ninjas a hard time? Kankuro asked. The woman seemed to be looking at each of them as if analyzing them. It was hard tell if that was what she was really doing since she was wearing a hood. Yes, you would be correct, said the cloaked woman. Why? Naruto asked angrily. Simple. They all have something I want, the woman replied. And what might that be? Gaara asked. Chakra, was her simple reply. Will you stop this act of stealing our shinobi's chakra? Gaara asked. I'm afraid not, for you see that is the only way I can get stronger, she replied, and even though her face was covered you could see her eyes giving off a red glow. Then we have no choice but to detain you, Gaara declared. You are free to try, however it might not end well for you and your comrades, the woman said. Immediately after her statement, Gaara ordered his men to detain her. The Jonin were fast, but she was faster as she dodged all their sand-based jutsu and occasionally took full blows without even being harmed in the slightest. Gaara realized that long-range attacks wouldn't work on her, but he had something everyone else didn't, full command of the sand. He pulled sand from underneath the woman and inked her in the sand. All looked fruitful until she effortlessly blew his sand away without even lifting a finger. So you are the Kazekage that can control the sand, said the melodic voice. I am, and we will stop you, Gaara said. You got that right, Naruto said as he quickly made a Rasengan and was about to charge the woman until Sakura stopped him. Don't. She takes chakra, remember? Sakura hissed. Enough of this, the woman said and raised both her hands with her palms open in the direction of the squad. Her hands started glowing blue and strips of chakra were being extracted from every shinobi in the area. They could all feel it. Quickly create a distance, Gaara commanded. They all moved away quickly. I'm sorry, Kazekage, but I won't let that happen, the woman said as she continued to the chakra out of their networks. Sorry lady, but you asked for this, Naruto said as he appeared behind the woman in a yellow flash. Naruto punched the woman and sent her flying until she landed at a distance. For the moment the chakra extraction stopped. The woman stood up and Sakura and Naruto both gasped. Hinata was in Naruto's apartment watching TV with Hanabi. It was Hanabi's turn to visit. Hinata had been having a bad feeling ever since the morning started, like something horrible was about to happen. I'm coming, sweetie, that dream brought shivers to her spine. Who was the woman talking? Why did she sound so familiar? She had been hearing that woman's voice in her dreams for days now and she didn't know what it meant, but she didn't like it. How did Naruto do it? Hanabi asked curiously. Oh right, they were still on the subject of Hanabi discovering about her seal or lack of. I don't really know, Hinata said honestly. While that knucklehead really does have a few tricks up his sleeve, Hanabi said. Hanabi, Hinata warned. Sorry, but even you have to admit he can be an idiot, Hanabi said. Hinata shook her head, but she didn't fully disagree with a sister. Hey, can I tell you something? Hanabi asked uncertainly. Sure, anything, Hinata said. It's not serious, it's just, I've been having this weird dream lately, for a few days now, Hanabi said. What weird dream? Hinata asked curiously, not liking what she might hear. Well, I can't see anything and I hear this voice that kind of calls to me, Hanabi said. Do you know what the voice says? Hinata asked wearily. Yeah, it always says, I'm coming, sweetie, and that's when I wake up, Hanabi said thoughtfully, then turned to see a shocked Hinata. What's wrong, Hinata? Hanabi asked worriedly. Nothing. Nothing, Hinata said, but she could still see Hanabi's worry for her. Okay, but if you need someone to talk to, then you can count on me, Hanabi said. Hinata smiled at her, but her mind was elsewhere. Hanabi had been having the same dream as her. This was so weird to be a coincidence, and that made her worry. She couldn't shake off that bad feeling, and after what Hanabi had told her, the feeling increased tenfold. Hinata-chan? Naruto asked as he looked at the woman standing in front of him in shock. The woman's head whipped to his direction. It seemed that he had her full attention now. Hinata? Do you mean Hyuga Hinata? The woman questioned. Naruto stared at her. He was shocked to the core. This woman looked like Hinata except much older. Her hair was blue like Hinata's, and even her face was similar, but the one thing that threw him off were the eyes, those eyes that looked exactly like the Jubies. Naruto realized to his horror. He could never forget the color of the eye of that monstrosity. The eyes on this woman that had Hinata's image matched the eye of the Jubi. There was also that all too familiar malevolent chakra that was similar to the Jubi's, but he also felt another chakra signature coming from the woman that wasn't malevolent. Do you mean Hyuga Hinata? The woman asked again with a hint of impatience. That's none of your b. Sakura was trying not to give this woman as much information as possible, but Naruto ruined her plan. Who are you, lady, and why do you look like Hinata-chan? Naruto questioned angrily. How dare someone try to steal Hinata's identity and turn it into something evil? He didn't see Sakura's angry face. So you are familiar with Hinata if you were able to easily distinguish our similar physical traits. You should also be very close to her with how you referred to her using Chan in her name. I hope not too close though, otherwise you and I might have a problem, the woman said. Who are you? Naruto questioned again, this time in confusion. She looked at everyone in the vicinity to make sure that they weren't preparing to attack while the boy acted as a distraction. They all seemed ready but were currently waiting on her answer, it seemed. You should have at least made a guess on who I am from my appearance, but seeing as you are all waiting patiently for me, I shall tell you. It's really quite simple if you put it into perspective. Before I tell you though, I'll give you a guess, the woman said with a smile. We don't have time for this. Kankuro shouted. Calm yourself, child. So young blonde one, what do you think? The woman asked. I think you're the Jubi, Naruto stated seriously, earning horror looks from everyone except the woman who just smiled at him. Not correct but not wrong either, the woman said, and immediately everyone went on the defensive. Fine then, who are you exactly? Kakashi asked. He was scared out of his mind. If this woman was linked to the Jubi, the beast that nearly killed all of them, then they were all in deep trouble. To put it simply, I am Hinata's mother, she said while staring directly at Naruto. Kakashi was always a level-headed ninja because he had to be, and surrounding himself with the likes of Naruto had given him a belief in the impossible being possible, but right now he was struggling to come to terms with the current predicament. He knew Hitomi Hyuga back in the days when he was in Minato's team. Minato and Kushina were close friends with Hiashi and Hitomi. When Kushina was pregnant with Naruto, it was Hitomi and Makoto who would spend most of their time with her, helping her cope and relax, especially considering Minato being a nervous wreck when it came to the pregnancy. He worried too much about Kushina's health to the extent that Kushina didn't have any breathing space, and that was when Hitomi and Makoto offered their assistance to a grateful Hokage. Hinata was a lot like her in more ways than appearance. Hitomi had a kind heart and always strived for the gentle approach with any problem concerning people. He remembered hearing about her death one day after giving birth to her second child, but if that's true, then who was this? He immediately ruled out the possibility of a random imposter because if memory served him right, then her chakra signature was exactly how he remembered it, except only now he could detect two chakra signatures being emitted from her body. She even looked the same except for those red eyes that looked like the Jubi's. She also immediately reacted when she heard Naruto say Hinata's name. How could this be? Kakashi was all for the possibility of believing in the impossible, but this. Maybe Orochimaru brought her back from death using that forbidden jutsu that he used to summon the past Hokages before he died, but what would he have to gain if he did that? She was just an innocent woman. And why did she have two chakra signatures? Was she a Jinchuriki? Why couldn't he ever get a break? What the hell do you mean you're Hinata's mother? Naruto shouted, surprised. That revelation really made his head hurt. I'll have to agree with him. If you are who you say you are, then technically you're supposed to be dead, Kakashi stated. Nothing ever escapes you, right, Kakashi-kun? Hitomi said, shocking Kakashi in the process. Wait, how does she know you? Naruto asked, surprised. Never mind that. What is your purpose here, huh? Tamari asked angrily. To absorb all chakra in human existence, Hitomi declared seriously. Why would you do that? If you are really Hinata's mother, then you would never do that, Kakashi said, earning a glare from the woman. Do not ever question my relation to my daughter again, Hitaki. The reason I am among the living is the same reason why you two retained the tailed beasts in your respective seals after they were freed or extracted from you, Hitomi said, looking at both Naruto and Gaara. How did you know? Gaara asked, shocked. Information gathering, Hitomi stated. What the hell is she talking about? What does she mean by retain the tailed beasts? A random Jonin asked wearily. Allow me to explain. When a tailed beast is sealed into a sacrifice, then it obtains mortality and lives within the Jinchuriki for the remainder of the Jinchuruki's lifespan. Now theoretically, once a Jinchuruki dies a natural death, then the beast is freed from the seal, so that's why other sacrifices are prepared, example being the likes of Kushina Uzumaki when she came to containing the Kyuubi from Mito Uzumaki, who was also a container of the nine-tailed fox. But if the container were to experience an unnatural death, then the imprisoned beast would die with its host. Once you remove the seal from the designated area of your mindscape, then the beast will also be freed as well. However, in all these scenarios there is one thing that remains the same, the residual chakra left behind by the demon. When the beast is free, it's still linked to its container in what is referred to as a chakra line. There are a few ways to sever the link permanently. One of these would be prolonged distance between the beast and the vessel, and another would be the death of the vessel altogether. If the chakra line is strong and short enough, then the beast could be reabsorbed into its original container forcibly, and a new seal made by the Shinigami himself will be created to permanently detain the beast within the host until the host's death. So even if you remove the seal from within the mindscape, then the demon would only have a temporal window in order to create a large enough distance to sever the link. Even if the Biju is seemingly destroyed, the chakra line is still existent, and so the Biju could still be returned into you. You should be well aware of this, Naruto-kun, Hitomi said, looking at Naruto. Heck, everyone was looking at Naruto except Sakura and the Sand siblings. Yeah, we never knew about the link until it was too late, Naruto said as he kept his eyes on the woman who seemed to know him. And what about you, Gaara? Sakura asked, still reeling from the revelation. She already knew Naruto still had the Kyuubi and had sworn to keep it secret under Tsunade's orders, but now she knew how that was possible. I have retained Shukaku, but how it happened still escapes us, Gaara replied truthfully. He was surprised one day to find himself in the mindscape with Shukaku sulking on being imprisoned again. So how does this explain why you alive? Kakashi asked, turning back to Hitomi. The chakra link between a Biju and its vessel is potent in nature, and because of that, excess chakra is leaked from the connection into the environment, whether the Biju is inside or outside its container. Demon chakra contains a part of the demon's essence, so in a way it's part of the Biju's soul. Now I don't know all the specifics, but it seemed that the Jubi had the power to actually choose a host for itself if need be, and before it was completely demised, it used the chakra that it leaked into the environment from being linked to Obito Uchiha to locate me specifically and take refuge in my decomposed body. In doing so, it actually revived me to what you see now, Hitomi said. How could you know about Obito? Kakashi asked, stupefied. The Jubi tells me what I wish to know. It is very knowledgeable in the events of life during my death period. It is even aware of the histories of Fire Country and its inhabitants, even though it hadn't physically existed until a few months ago. The 10 tails can be very handy when it calls for it, Hitomi stated with a smile. So what of the Jubi? A Jonin asked scaredly. I am its current container. Do not fear though, for it cannot free itself from my body, but it has been annoying me as of late about taking what's rightfully its, Hitomi said with a small frown. So the Jubi still exists, Kakashi said in horror. Yes, and because of its traits I have been given the ability to completely remove chakra from any individual, that is what the beast has told me anyway, Hitomi said. But that would mean killing people, Sakura said scaredly. No, the removal of their chakra would not take their lives thanks to the Jubi's weakened state in my mindscape, it would render them unconscious for a day or two, otherwise I would not commit myself to this, Hitomi said. Why are you doing this, Hitomi-san? Kakashi asked. She knew way too much about them personally not to be Hitomi. Easy, Kakashi-kun. Imagine a world of peace that didn't involve violence and jutsu. Chakra is only used for wars and killing these days and therefore is a hindrance to the world. I aim to fix that without killing anyone. I am doing this for the good of humanity using the Jubi's ability to absorb chakra, only I won't take people's life forces with it, Hitomi said. I'm sorry, Hitomi-san, but taking away someone's chakra is the same as taking away a piece of who they are and we can't allow you to do that, Kakashi said seriously. Kakashi is correct. If you take away our chakra then you taking away a piece of ourselves with it, Gaara stated. Hemp. I just knew you wouldn't understand. Fine, be that way, but I will change this world for the better whether you like it or not. Give Hinata-chan and Hanabi-chan my greetings, Naruto-kun, for I'm sure you know both of them if you know my eldest daughter, and tell Hiyashi that I'm coming for my children. Until next time, Hitomi said seriously and disappeared in a purple flash. She knows the Hiraishin? Kakashi asked surprised. Oh man. Just wait until Hinata hears about this, Naruto said looking tired. Everyone looked tired. She must have taken more chakra out of them than he thought. That's all you worried about? Sakura shouted angrily. The Jubi was out there and all he was focused on was telling Hinata that her Supa's dead mother was actually alive because of the 10-tailed beast that almost destroyed the entire world. Well, if she put into that perspective then she could actually see why Naruto thought that was more important. Hachu. Hinata sneezed. Someone's talking about you. Maybe a blonde knucklehead, Hanabi teased. Stop that, Hanabi-chan. Hinata sputtered with a huge blush on her face. Ha ha ha. At least I still got that over you. Hanabi laughed. Not funny, Hanabi-chan, Hinata said dangerously and then advanced on her little sister. What are you doing? Hanabi asked alarmed. Teaching you a lesson, Hinata replied as she proceeded to tickle Hanabi. No. Ha 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 ha. Stop. Ha ha ha. Please. Hanabi laughed and wheezed. Okay, fine, I think you've had enough, Hinata said as she let up on her attack. You mean? Hanabi pouted. So do you hate me? Hinata asked, raising an eyebrow. I love you, Hanabi said. Wow, I've hardly heard you say that in a long time, Hinata laughed, earning a glare from Hanabi. I already said I was sorry, Hinata, Hanabi said sadly. Oh Hanabi, I didn't mean it like that, Hinata said soothingly as she hugged Hanabi. I feel so stupid, you know. I'll always regret what I did to you, Hanabi said as Hinata caressed her hair. One day you'll get over it, but right now all you need is love and comfort, Hinata said. Well, I'm not the only one, Hanabi said as she stared at Hinata. You right, Hinata smiled. We should do something together, Hanabi said suddenly. Like what? Hinata asked. I don't know, what do sisters usually do? Hanabi asked. Hinata said in thought, then she looked at Hanabi and smiled mischievously. I don't like the way you looking at me, Hanabi said. Come on, Hinata said. They made their way to Hinata's destination carefully to make sure they weren't being spied on, and when Hanabi saw where Hinata was taking her she immediately tried to run, but Hinata grabbed her. No. You know I don't like these kinds of places, Hanabi pleaded. It's all part of being a girl, Hinata simply replied and led Hanabi into the clothing shop. I hate you, Hanabi said as she came out of the changing room with a beautiful dark red kimono. I love you too, Hanabi-chan, and you look positively adorable, Hinata gushed. TCH. Can I change now? Hanabi replied irritably. Yeah, change into the next kimono, Hinata said and got a groan in response. They spend the day together doing anything that they could think of. Hinata had to admit that Hanabi had been withdrawn to the extent that she didn't know how to enjoy herself fully without guarding her emotions, but Hinata hoped to change that soon. Her sister deserved better. She at least knew Hanabi was changing for the better since she wasn't as cruel as before, but she still needed a little more work on her manners. Right now they were back in the apartment, but only for a few minutes more since the time for Hanabi's visit was almost over. I don't think you should come to this place anymore, Hanabi, Hinata stated seriously. Why? Hanabi asked, hurt. Hanabi, it's getting harder to keep this secret from father, Hinata said seriously. Why should we hide this from father anyway? I mean, it was part of the agreement that you'd be allowed to see anyone you want, Hanabi said. I know, but father has a tendency to get volatile, Hinata said sadly. But it's not fair, Hanabi shouted. I know, but it is what it is, Hinata said. So will you come see me tomorrow? Hanabi asked. Do you even have to ask? Hinata raised an eyebrow. You never know when the day will come that you get bored of me, Hanabi shrugged. Don't talk like that, Hinata frowned. Like what? Hanabi asked. Like I would ever leave you, Hinata said. Oh, anyway, what are you going to do about the ceiling thing? If Naruto can remove the caged bird seal, then father won't be pleased if he finds out, Hanabi said worriedly. For now we do nothing and tell no one of this. I am thinking of using Naruto's ability to help our family together, but not now, Hinata said. But you can't participate in clan matters because you're not a part of the Hyuga clan anymore, Hanabi said. I know, and that's the problem. If they could only lift the banishment, then I would immediately be eligible for Hyuga head since I'm not branded anymore, Hinata replied sadly. So you want to be head? We could work on this thing together if you want, Hanabi suggested. That would be lovely, Hinata said. Okay, I have to go now, but I'll see you tomorrow, Hanabi said as she made her way out of the apartment. Bye, Hanabi-chan, Hinata called out. She sat down on the couch. She was pretty tired with today's activities and didn't feel like doing anything big right now. She was left to her thoughts, and her thoughts led her to the blonde hero. She hoped he was alright and the mission didn't take too much of him, but knowing Naruto, he probably found a way to exhaust himself. She really hoped that their date would work out, but she had to figure out a way to stay confident and not revert to her shy self. How could she do that when Naruto was the only person she knew that could make her into a stuttering mess? She hoped she figured it out soon. Hanabi was in her room practicing kanji with Akane by her side. Akane was off duty, but since they developed something close to friendship, they spent more time together. Hanabi wasn't really concentrating because she was thinking about the dream she told Hinata about. The woman's voice was so sweet, so alluring that Hanabi felt so drawn to it. The voice also held a certain kindness to it that reminded Hanabi of Hinata. It was weird, but telling Hinata about her dream seemed to spook her little. Why was she so scared? Did she experience the same thing as she did? It would have been a very unexpected coincidence. Your kanji is very beautiful, Hanabi-chan, Akane commented, and that snapped Hanabi out of her daze. Oh, thanks, Hanabi replied half-heartedly. The door opened and a guard walked in. Hanabi-sama, Hiyashi-sama requests an audience with you, the guard bowed. I see. I have to leave now, Akane, Hanabi said. It's okay, I'll see you tomorrow, Akane said. Hanabi made her way into her father's office. She walked in and found her father busy with paperwork. Take a seat, Hanabi, Hiyashi said without even giving her so much as a glance. Hanabi took a seat and started. You summoned me, father? Hanabi asked curiously. Yes. Earlier today I was looking for you and I couldn't find you anywhere in the compound, not even in the branch area, and I was curious to know where you've been, Hiyashi said as he continued his paperwork. I decided to take a walk around the village for some fresh air, Hanabi replied, and was grateful that he didn't look up at her. Where around the village? Hiyashi asked. Just random places, Hanabi shrugged. I hope you were not using that time to see your former sister, Hiyashi said, glancing at her. No, father, Hanabi lied and mentally sighed in relief when she saw that he bought it, although he still looked suspiciously at her. Good. You are free to leave, Hiyashi said with a wave of his hand. Before I go, I have to know why I can't see Hinata. Hanabi asked. I've already told you that you can't, Hiyashi said. But why? Hanabi asked. Because I say so, Hiyashi replied. But what if I really wanted to see her? Hanabi asked. What is the sudden interest in this, Hanabi? You never liked Hinata to begin with, Hiyashi stated, and was surprised when he saw Hanabi flinch. Yes, it's true that I never really showed care towards Hinata, but what if I wanted to try it? Hanabi asked. Enough, Hanabi. Leave now, Hiyashi said as he glared at his daughter. Yes, father, Hanabi said dismissively and left. Hiyashi sighed irritably. It seemed like he couldn't get rid of the memory of that pathetic child, and now Hanabi was acting strange as well. Hanabi flopped on her bed. Her dad was impossible. He refuses to listen to reason and treated everyone as if they were his enemy. She didn't care because she was going to see Hinata whenever she wanted. If her father were to discover, then he would be angry at her, but she loved Hinata too much to stop. Then there was the whole Naruto being able to get rid of the seal. She still couldn't grasp it. The Uzumaki idiot was able to create something that could shake the very foundation of the Hyuga clan, but how? How on earth could he do that, especially considering he wasn't a seal? Well, not yet anyway. He always seemed to surprise everyone with how insightful and smart he could be. She didn't understand why Hinata was so infatuation with Naruto, though. The boy was way too dense for her sister, but that was just her opinion on it. She decided to get some sleep and wait for the next day. Hinata was lying on her bed in deep thought. The activities she had done with Hanabi wasn't enough to warrant her worries away. The dream seemed too difficult to think of as a coincidence. She realized to her shock that the voice she was hearing was of her dead mother, but the more shocking but was Hanabi's admission of having the same dream. Their mother died during childbirth, so Hanabi couldn't possibly know that the woman she had been hearing in her dreams was their very own mom. What did it mean though? Was it some kind of bad sign? A warning for something horrible? Hinata had never believed in bad luck or omens, but right now it was hard for her mind not to linger on those thoughts. If it was anything bad involving Hanabi, then Hinata needed to be prepared to protect her sister, even if it meant her death in the process. She really hoped it didn't come to that in the future. She didn't want to sleep at the moment, afraid of hearing her mother's voice. She looked for something to keep herself busy and saw a photo album beside the bed on the dresser. She took the book and skimmed through the pages, which mostly consisted of Naruto and the Rookie 9 with a few of Team Guy as well. She looked at more pictures and saw a lot of them consisted of women she didn't know. She was a little jealous that these women appeared way more than she did, but she would just accept it, and maybe create her own memories with Naruto. Hinata was becoming very sleepy and it was inevitable, so she closed her eyes and waited for the voice that filled her head. Sorry. Excuse me. Could you move already? Hanabi said as she weaved her way through a large crowd. It wasn't wise for her to be visiting her sister after Hinata had warned her that it was getting too dangerous to do so, but Hanabi was too excited today to heed the warning. She made Hinata food to eat as a way of showing her sister kindness, although she wasn't sure how good the food actually was because she didn't even try it when she made it, but she was sure that it was really good. She was a prodigy after all, so how hard could cooking be? She made karage with her own twist to the Japanese cuisine. This way she couldn't be accused of buying it somewhere, even though Hinata would never do such a thing. This sister bonding made her feel so happy. She hadn't felt this way in years. Who knew that all it took was Hinata to get some backbone and stand up for herself? Definitely not Hanabi. No matter how much Hinata waved off her past misgivings, Hanabi couldn't bring herself to forgive and forget them. Maybe one day, but not now. She felt she still owed Hinata more before the past can stay in the past. She looked back at the box that held the food that she had made and wanted to give to Hinata. She didn't know what prompted her to sneak into the kitchen, make the branch members promise not to tell anyone what she was doing, and then cook in solitary, but she just woke up and had the idea, which was strange because she never thought like that before. It was 3 days ago when Hinata had warned her not to visit, but Hanabi had something to share with her, and that's what she was going to do, damn it. She had become too distracted that she ended up bumping into someone, knocking her off balance and making her drop the box, which spilled all the contents on the street. No, Hanabi whispered sadly, looking at the dirt-filled food on the ground, and she worked so hard to make it too. She was also dirty from falling, but that was the last thing on her mind. Goodness. I'm so sorry, are you okay? Said a voice from above her, and Hanabi felt arms envelope her and was helped back to her feet. Yeah, it's fine, I didn't watch where I was going, Hanabi said, not moving her eyes from that messed up food she made. No, that won't do. Please allow me to make it up to you, said a woman's voice, and Hanabi finally tore her eyes from the food and looked at the woman talking to her. Hanabi had to admit the woman was very pretty. She had long flowing brown hair, nice but fair skin tone, a beautiful face and beautiful dark purple eyes which heavily contrasted with her hair but helped outline her overall beauty. No, it's fine, really, Hanabi said kindly. She was trying to change after all, and there was no point in berating this woman. I insist. My house is just around the corner. We can get you cleaned up. It's the least I could do, the woman continued. Hanabi would have told the woman it didn't matter, but something told her that it wouldn't be enough to convince her. Through her training, she had learned a great deal on how to read people, and this woman seemed genuinely regretful for what happened. Plus, Hanabi didn't have the heart to say no to this seemingly kind person, so she relented. Besides, if anything bad were to happen, then she could handle herself. Okay, Hanabi said, suddenly noticing she was already being led by the woman. Good, was all the woman said with a warm smile. Hanabi got to the woman's house and was instructed of the place she could get cleaned up. She made her way into the shower and was informed of a new set of clothes waiting for her when she finished. This was so weird. She was in a stranger's place. A stranger. Hinata would surely be upset with her if she found out about this, but nothing bad has happened so far. She hoped she didn't speak too soon. She made her way out of the shower and opened the bathroom door a little bit and saw a clean stack of clothes on the floor. She didn't feel comfortable with putting on clothes she was unfamiliar with, but her other clothes were dirty and nowhere to be seen. She got dressed and made her way to the living room. She saw the woman in the kitchen and walked to her. Thank you for the hospitality, but I think I should leave now, Hanabi said. The food that was dropped, did you make it? The woman asked. Yeah, Hanabi said with a frown. I've got a lot of ingredients available in my kitchen. Perhaps you can make something similar to that, the woman offered. No, I couldn't do th. Hanabi was cut off with the woman smiling tenderly at her. I don't mind. Cook to you heart's content, the woman said. I don't know, Hanabi said wearily. It's okay, the woman drawled with a smile. Thank you. My name's Hanabi, Hanabi said. She didn't know why she was doing this, but this woman made her feel really comfortable. Besides, this way there was no way she could be discovered by her father or his spies. You can call me Saya, Saya said. So Hanabi started making the same dish she made for Hinata using Saya's ingredients. She had to admit that Saya had tons of different ingredients at her disposal. She took a glance and saw Saya sitting on her living room couch and reading a book. Hanabi had never been a person to openly trust someone, let alone a stranger. What was wrong with her? Maybe Saya did something to her. Hanabi mentally kicked herself. If she kept this up, then it wouldn't be long before she became paranoid. And Saya, why did she just let Hanabi into her house? This woman was very strange indeed, but Hanabi wasn't complaining. I'm done, Hanabi said with a hint of glee. Saya put her book down and then made her way to Hanabi. So is this the same food you made before? Saya asked, eyeing the fried fish, meat and vegetables. All right. The mess isn't that big and I have a large stock of fresh food to begin with, Saya said kindly. Oh, okay. Thanks again. Do you have anything I could use to carry it? Hanabi asked. First things first, Hanabi-chan. Can I take a bite? Saya asked. Sure. I mean, it is your stuff I used, Hanabi said. Saya smiled and then took a fork and proceeded to take a small portion of the karage Hanabi made and put it into her mouth. There was a pause, but it didn't take long for Saya to scrunch her face and gag a little. What's wrong? Is it the food? Hanabi asked. Gulp. I have to admit the food is kind of overwhelming, Saya said as evenly as possible. Hanabi saw straight through it and knew that Saya was saying that her food was bad. Her head dropped in disappointment. She could blame the taste of the food on its condition, but she was already told that the food was fresh. Well, it was my second time ever cooking anything, Hanabi said. There's no need to feel upset. Some people are gifted with the skill while most others practice to achieve it. Since it was just your second time, you can't fault yourself for this. Just keep cooking until you get better, Saya said. Sigh. Thanks, Hanabi said, but the disappointment was still there. Now what was she going to give Hinata? Quote. You know, we could work on this together. We can start from scratch and make the exact thing you tried to, if you're willing, that is, Saya said, staring down at Hanabi. Sure, Hanabi said, uncertain of what to say. Excellent, Saya replied gleefully. They began cooking together, with Saya helping her to apply the right ingredient to the right part of the meal. Hanabi was enjoying herself immensely. She had her suspicions of Saya and her intentions, but that was quickly dissolved with how kind Saya was to her. How could any person be this nice just out of goodwill? She was like an older version of Hinata, and Hanabi knew there wasn't many people like that in the world. She smiled when Saya praised her for a perfectly seasoned fish. Saya really did have an affect on her, and Hanabi was very confused why she felt so calm and free around this woman. The food they had been making was finally completed, and Hanabi marveled at the prestation and taste. It looked way better than her first and second attempt. They put the food into a container and Hanabi was finally ready to go. I'm not sure I can keep these clothes, Saya-san, Hanabi said, looking down at herself. Ah, it's okay, Hanabi-chan. Think of it as a gift. Besides, those clothes won't be able to fit me, Saya said, smiling. Hanabi looked carefully at her shirt and pants. They looked brand new, like they were bought just yesterday. Hanabi frowned. Were these clothes meant for someone else? Hanabi asked. Yes, however that person didn't want them, Saya said. Oh, well, thank you, Saya-san. I'll see you around, Hanabi said as she made her way out the door. Hanabi-chan, Saya called. Yes, Hanabi asked, looking back. You're turning out to be a beautiful girl, Saya said. Thanks, Hanabi blushed and left, not knowing what to think of what she just heard. Saya closed her door and made her way to the living room couch. She sat down and got back to reading her book. She turned out so wonderfully. If only I can get to talk to her and Hinata at the same time, Saya said as she skimmed through pages. No one here would be able to stop you, so why not just get them now? Said a booming voice. Don't be silly. I'm not just going to act recklessly, Saya said with a frown, seemingly talking to herself. Your little stunt in that desert was reckless, the deep voice reminded. It had to be done. I want people to know that I'm alive, and I couldn't do that in Konoha. I had to confuse them on my potential whereabouts. Wouldn't want mass panic now, would we? Saya said evenly. Well, there is going to be mass panic when people find out about you living, the voice continued. Can't be helped. Besides, I'm not here for anyone else but my kids, Saya said. You've been living here for months now. Why make yourself known now? The voice questioned. For my kids, she said seriously. Your reasoning bores me. These attachments you humans have to your offspring is idiotic at best, the deep voice said. Like I'd expect a demon to understand. Why are you so curious, Shinju? Saya asked. It doesn't matter as long as you take all my chakra that exist in the world, Shinju, or better known as the Jubi, said. Thank goodness you're imprisoned. It would really be horrible for you to be free rampaging and killing people just for your chakra, Saya, or better yet, Hitomi said. Bah, whatever. Life and death doesn't matter to me as long as I complete my purpose, Shinju said. Well, I'll be using your power without any casualties, Hitomi said. Like I said, human, as long as I complete my purpose, purging this world of chakra, Shinju said and then cut off the link. Annoying Jubi, Hitomi said with a frown. Hinata was walking through the street of Konoha at a frantic pace. She came to the Hyuga compound but couldn't find Hanabi anywhere and no one knew where she went. Hinata was worried sick. If anything happened to Hanabi then she didn't know what she would do. God, where was she? Hinata's brain kept on giving her worst-case scenarios where Hanabi would die every time. She was about to scream in frustration when she saw Hanabi come out of a corner. Hinata rushed to Hanabi screaming her name, not caring one bit who heard her. She quickly scooped her sister into a hug. Whoa Hinata, watch it. You almost made me drop the food, Hanabi said while holding tightly to the container. Where were you? Hinata said upset. I was making you this, Hanabi said. Hinata put Hanabi down and then took the container. She looked at its contents and found the food. Come on, let's go to the apartment. No use in getting discovered if we go to the compound, Hinata said more calmly and went with her sister to Naruto's apartment. Sorry for making you worry, Hanabi said after noticing her sister's face. Sai, it's okay, but please don't go around like that. I don't want anything bad happening to you, Hinata said. Okay, Hanabi said as they walked together. She wanted to tell Hinata about the woman that she met, but she feared Hinata would get upset again. This can't be happening, Tsunade said as she rubbed her temple. Things just kept getting worse. She didn't think that Kakashi and his team would get much out of the mission she sent them on, even if it took them until now to return to Konoha, but from what Kakashi had reported she was wrong, big time. Apparently Hitomi Hyuga, someone that died 12 years ago, was alive again, and not just that, but she was also the container of one of the most destructive beings that ever existed, the Jubi. God, that thing was a nightmare. It took all the shinobi nations plus reincarnated heroes of the past Hokages being among them, to take it down, and that was a narrow win to put it bluntly. Now that thing was back. She really did have the worst luck imaginable. I'm sorry, Tsunade-sama put it as all true, Sakura said. This is too much to take in, Tsunade said. Yeah, I know. Just wait until Hinata-chan finds out, Naruto said. We must be prepared for the worst. I will declare this as top priority to the other cages, but I will not use Hitomi's identity, Tsunade said. But why, Tsunade-sama? Sakura asked. We don't know anything about this situation, just like we don't know anything about the Jubi. The Jubi itself could be using her image for its own purposes and tricking us in the process. I will declare the Jubi as a triple S rank threat, but we will not label that demon as Hitomi until we can be absolutely sure. Do you understand? Tsunade said. Yeah, so what can I tell Hinata-chan? Naruto asked curiously. Just tell her that there's an enemy. Don't tell her anything about her mother's image, not until we figure all of this out, Tsunade said seriously. Okay. Naruto said, a bit disappointed. You've all done well and your pay will be sent to you. Get some rest and relax as much as possible because I'm pretty sure things will be getting busy soon, Tsunade said. They all left Tsunade to her thoughts. This was really bad. This could lead to another ninja world war. She decided to start immediately with contacting the other cages. Shizune, get in here, Tsunade ordered. She truly hoped that this assailant wasn't the kind, lovable woman that would spend her times with Kushina, because if that was so, then the decisions Tsunade was going to make would be the hardest in her life. Konoha Graveyard, situated at a distance away from the lively village. Home to fallen warriors, heroes and loved ones alike. The place where most of the ninja and civilians rest and decay for the rest of life itself. A stream of light was heading in this very direction. No one would be able to witness it due to the tension of the world war against Madara and his followers. Pain's attack on this place was very damaging to say the least, but they were slowly pulling themselves together and rebuilding what was once clean and clear buildings from the ground up, well, in some places anyway. The light itself seemed to be made of pure energy or something eerily similar to chakra, with the way it resembled something being burned in the sky. The impact on the graveyard wasn't quite significant enough to cause alarm, but an explosion still rounded the area nonetheless. The graveyard seemed to glow with a light red hue for a moment before the light dimmed, then disappeared altogether. For a moment there was nothing but that silence that existed prior. Nothing seemed out of place, but then suddenly the ground, in a particular area, exploded from the inside and something that seemed to be coffin had been blown wide open with a decomposed corpse present for all to bear spectacle to, if there was anyone present to begin with. The light from earlier returned, but this time it only resonated in the very open coffin as it seemed to be consuming the bony body. The light shined blindly for almost 2 full hours before it died down, and in its place is a perfectly healthy-looking body. The body did not move or give any indication of life. Looking at the gravestone, one would clearly tell that this area, that looked exclusive to begin with, was the place where someone very important was buried. That person would be the lovable Hitomi Hyuga. Her breath hitched in her throat. Her body felt like it was on fire, and that in itself was anything but pleasurable. Her body felt like it was being forced to change in ways she could not understand and handle. She felt the most unbearable pain she could ever feel. It couldn't be described because it was that. She could feel. She could breath. Her eyes shot open and she squinted them due to the brightness she hadn't adjusted to. She was dead. She knew she was dead. She felt the life pull out of her when she died, and that was in no way a dream. So what happened? She opened her eyes slowly and wearily. They burned a bit from the brightness, but she willed it out until she could finally see. It was hard to see anything at first, but that gradually changed and she was finally able to look at her surroundings. She was in a hole. She wondered if someone was playing a prank on her. She wanted to laugh. She really wanted to laugh just for the sheer weirdness of it all, but one look at herself left her stunned. She was naked. Well, not fully, since she had little clothing that hadn't withered away, but the things she was wearing were barely clinging to her frame. Was she raped? She looked around and realized she was in a coffin, and it looked more like she had been buried. She stood up and made her way out the hole. When she looked around, her suspicions were immediately confirmed. She was in a graveyard, which meant she was dead. What's going on? She whispered hoarsely. Her throat felt so sore and it hurt to even whisper, but right now she was panicking. How is she alive? She died when she was giving birth to Hanabi, so how was this possible? Allow me, human, Hitomi heard a voice say, and she would have screamed in fright had it not been for her world suddenly going black. She awoke to what seemed like an area filled with gray trees and black and lavender roses, but they seemed to have something of a path to them. Come, the same voice called, and that scared the hell out of Hitomi. What the hell was going on? She was adamant on doing anything, but she needed answers, so she went in the direction she felt the voice calling her to. It took a while, but she made her way to a clearing and looked around. This whole place seemed so dull. The sky was black, while all the other things were gray except for the lavender roses that stood out. There was also the longest tree she had ever witnessed. At least she thought it was a tree. She walked a little closer to it, but then something stopped her, and when she looked carefully she could see the outlines of a cage around the huge tree. Before the outlines disappeared as if there were never there in the first place, there was also this paper that hung mid-air with a kanji she couldn't exactly make out because it was too high. Finally. I was beginning to think that you were lost. The voice sounded like it was coming from everywhere, but she knew somehow that it was the tree talking to her. Who are you? Hitomi asked, looking at the tree. She felt so silly for such an act, but so far she was in a whirlwind of confusion. I am Shinju or Dadara. Your legends label me as the Jubi, Shinju said. Hitomi was shocked and petrified. She knew all about the legend of the Jubi and the Sage of Six Paths. In actuality, the Jubi is considered a deity, an unstoppable force that even the sage himself had no control over, one of the reasons why chakra even existed. Upon looking at the tree, she could tell that it was really the demon. That fruit-looking thing it held was a dead giveaway. If she remembered correctly, then the legend stated that the fruit the Shinju possessed was forbidden to be eaten. However, someone had not listened to the rules and ate it. It was a princess right. She couldn't remember everything, but that was what basically led up to the Shinju becoming a vengeful beast after its chakra. Well, she had chakra and the Jubi was a few yards away from her, but she didn't feel safe. Do not fear. I did not bring you back to life just to extinguish you, Shinju said. So I am alive. How? Where am I? How am I talking to the Jubi? Hitomi questioned quickly. I revived you. You are in your mindscape. And you are able to talk to me because I am sealed within you, Shinju stated coherently. Sealed. Hitomi knew all too well what that meant from what Kushina told her. She was the Jubi's container, but how? The Jubi shouldn't even exist, but when it mentioned she was in her mindscape, then a sense of dread was falling upon her. Why? Hitomi didn't know what else to say. You proved most fitting among the dead, so I chose you. I cannot escape due to the Shinigami creating a seal to make our merge permanent, well, until you die a natural death, so I cannot harm you nor allow you to die unless it is of old age, only then will I be freed to do as I wish. I have gone through your memories and I can tell you do not approve of what the world has become because of chakra, so I have a proposal for you, Hitomi Hyuga, Shinju said evenly. Proposal? What proposal? Hitomi asked. She felt relieved that the Jubi couldn't be released and possible kill everyone on Earth. It also went through her memories. This was so messed up. I have the ability to completely remove chakra from any human or mortal, and originally that would have resulted in their deaths, but since I'm stuck here, then the power goes to you. Due to my weakened state, you could remove a person chakra without killing them. Shinju said. Why would I do that? Hitomi said with a frown. What was the reason for taking someone's chakra away from them? Think about it. Chakra is used to aid in violence and wars, making this world a horrible place for anyone to live in. The killing, deceiving, theft, rape, all aided by the prospect of being stronger than your opponent with the amount of chakra you have and can utilize. It provokes and creates unnecessary battles. Think of your children. What kind of world they are exposed to? What will they fall victim to? Think carefully before you give me your answer, Shinju said. Hitomi would have denied its request if it hadn't mentioned her children. She thought about it and realized that the Jubi made sense in his logic. She loved her kids very dearly, even though she hasn't seen what Hanabi looked like. She didn't want them to be involved in anything that could put them in danger, and besides, she wouldn't be killing anyone with what she did. They may be something that Jubi wasn't telling her, but she knew it was telling the truth about the rest of it. Kushina told her that a biju's word is law. She screwed her face into that of determination. I accept, Hitomi said. She was doing this so her babies wouldn't have to live a life of violence. Flashback end. She planned on keeping to her mission as well. This was for her two beautiful children who she would die to protect. Crap, Naruto said as he turned around another corner and ran like a bat out of hell. He just didn't get it. He just got back from the mission from Suna to this. When he was young, he was always deemed a loser in the eyes of the female populace, but now he was being chased, like the latest fashion wear, by a group of fangirls. He had to admit some of them did look hot, but it was platonic at best. Now he knew how Sasuke felt all those years ago. Those girls didn't want him but what he had, the titles of 2 clans, the son of the Yellow Flash Minato, the savior of Konoha. Now that he thought about it, he really did do a lot of things and he wasn't even in his 20s. There he is. A high-pitched voice squealed. He almost tripped when he heard that. He had to get away from them before they surrounded and raped him. He looked up ahead and he sighed in relief when he saw his friends. Shika. Ino-chan. Help me. He pleaded. He could feel those girls getting closer with how hard the ground started to rumble. Huh, Naruto. Hey, what's wrong? Ino shouted as she watched him run to them. If it's Naruto, then I already know it's troublesome, Shikamaru said. Sometimes I wonder what the hell is wrong with you, Ino said, glaring at Shikamaru, who just shrugged. Quick guys, hide me, Naruto said in a panic. From Ino trailed of when she saw all the fangirls coming. Stay away from Naruto-kun. One of the fangirls screamed in anger at Ino. Naruto, you do realize you're a shinobi, right? Shikamaru said lazily. Seriously, how dumb can Naruto get? He had so many jutsu that could send all these girls screaming and he just opted to run. Yep, that was Naruto alright. Oh, Naruto said in realization and then put his hands in the familiar hand sign. With a poof of smoke, the area was surrounded by hundreds of Narutos. These were his standard shadow clones who held no differences to him. Well, they still had attitude problems, but they were still reliable when it called for it. Quick, everyone scatter, he shouted as they all split in different direction and made a break for it. It was chaos. Fangirls rushing, tackling and dry humping the captured clones before they popped with emotional scars. The real Naruto was long gone. He used the distraction to jump to the roofs and run like a man possessed. Ino quickly grabbed one of the clones that was rushing past her by the collar and then cleared her throat. Hey Naruto, I was wondering if you're going with anyone to the spring festival. Ino asked. She admitted that he had become attractive over the years and what he did for Konoha and the world made her view him in a new light other than an idiot. Quote. The boss is gone, dude, I'm just a clone, the clone said with a straight face. His impassive demeanor really crept the hell out of Shikamaru and Ino. So, you share memories, right? Ino asked impatiently. What the hell? The clone kept quiet because he knew about Ino's attitude and temper. He just hoped he'd get away without popping. Right? Ino asked sternly. She was gonna pop him if he didn't answer. Quote. He's already taken pop. The clone vanished in a plump of smoke after Ino hit him for taking too long to answer. She didn't even realize what he said before he popped, but the clone's words finally caught to her. Quote. He's what? Ino was shocked. No way. It was impossible. Naruto taken. It was laughable. Naruto wasn't interested in anyone but Sakura, but that had changed and he hasn't acknowledged any female's affection ever since, and they were a lot of females after him. That stupid clone had to be lying. No way Naruto would have a girlfriend so soon. She had to investigate. I know that look, Ino, and I say just drop it, it's too true. He was stopped by a death glare. You finish that word and I'll castrate you. Besides, I'm just curious, Ino said with a gleam in her eye. Quote. Troublesome, Shikamaru said, then ran for his life. He looked slightly disturbing because of the lazy face he held as he ran as fast as he could from a raging Ino. The door opened and then shut with a bang. He was exhausted. He always dreamed of having fangirls, but now the very idea was scary. What the hell happened? One moment he's alone in the world and the next thing he know he has the whole village's females after him, or what was in his pants. He got back another clone memory and cringed, not Ino too. Well, she was just asking about the spring festival, but something told him that there was more to it than that. At least he was safe in his apartment, for now. Naruto. He looked in front of him and saw Hanabi sitting on the couch looking at him curiously. Oh hey Hanabi-chan, Naruto greeted tiredly. Damn those girls. You look like crap, Hanabi teased. She didn't expect to see him so soon and looking like he just came out of a shinobi war. Hanabi-chan language, Hinata scolded as she made her way out of the bedroom. Her hair looked wet, meaning she probably took a shower. What? He does. Look for yourself, Hanabi said, pointing at Naruto. Hinata turned to him and would have averted her eyes had it not been for his disheveled form. Hey Hinata-chan, Naruto greeted. God, he was tired. Naruto-kun, are you okay? Hinata asked in worry. He looked awful. Yeah, just fangirls trying to get in my pants, Naruto said with a grin. Hinata didn't take it that well and frowned. She knew this was coming soon enough, competition. She didn't like this one bit. Now there was a chance that she could really lose him to a more open and exotic girl who would strive to obtain her Naruto-kun's attention. She froze. Did she really call Naruto hers? Well, she wanted him, damn it. She felt so jealous right now, but she pushed that feeling aside for the moment. I don't get what they see in you though, Hanabi said cheekily. Me neither, Naruto replied. He really looked ready to pass out and Hinata wanted to take care of that. Naruto-kun, you need to sleep, Hinata said. Once she asked him out on that date, it was as if a huge burden lifted off her shoulders and she felt more confident in herself. She was still shy around him, but it was getting better to handle her emotions. She wanted to know how his mission went, but that would have to happen another time. Nah, it's Oka. Snore. Hinata caught him before he hit the floor. God, he was heavy. All those years off training really did him good, judging from what she was feeling. God, what was wrong with her? Groping her crush. She wasn't a pervert. She dragged him with difficulty to the bedroom and put him to bed. She hesitated at first, but then lightly caressed his cheek and watched as he purred cutely. It was so much easier to do the things she wanted when he wasn't looking at her or aware of her presence. It was nothing, but it felt intimate. She smiled at him, then left the room. Wow, those fangirls must be really tough, Hanabi said sarcastically. Yeah, Hinata said in thought. This wasn't looking good for her. Don't worry, Hinata. None of them could even compare to you, and besides, you're the one who's actually going out with him. You live with him too. No one else can say those things, Hanabi said, sensing Hinata's doubt. Thanks, Hanabi-chan, Hinata said gratefully. Hanabi really had changed. What are sisters for? Hanabi shrugged, but she did give a genuine smile towards Hinata. So I wanted to ask. The karage. Did you cook it yourself? Hinata asked Hanabi. Well, not really, Hanabi said. She was getting nervous. She didn't want Hinata to get upset. Oh, then who helped you? Hinata asked. She already knew Hanabi couldn't be this good when making this dish, so she wanted to know who the person that helped was so she could thank them for helping her little sister. Well, Hanabi said with her voice wavering. Well, Hinata raised an eyebrow. This was interesting. A woman named Saya helped me, Hanabi said, averting her eyes. Saya? I don't know anyone in the compound by that name, Hinata said, frowning. Well, she isn't from the compound, Hanabi bit her lip. How do you know her then? Hinata asked. I met her today before you found me, Hanabi said. A stranger? Hinata asked as she eyed Hanabi. I'm sorry, Hinata, but she was really nice and she didn't do anything to me. She helped me make this for you. I promise you that you'd like her, Hanabi said in a pleading voice. Hanabi, when you're outside the compound, you shouldn't just make friends with anybody. They could be spies trying to steal our bloodline and hurt you because you're heiress. I am not happy with this, Hinata said seriously. I'm sorry, Hinata, but I swear she wouldn't harm me. Hanabi said. How do you know this? Hinata asked. I just do, Hanabi said, not really sure. You and I are going to see this woman tomorrow. I want to know exactly who we're dealing with, Hinata said. Sorry, Hanabi said. She knew Hinata was disappointed in her, but when she saw the woman herself, then she would know how nice the lady was. You're safe and that's all that matters, Hinata said lovingly. She didn't like the fact that Hanabi was seeing strangers, but she would sort that out soon. Naruto-kun. He didn't feel like opening his eyes to whatever's was calling him, so he just mumbled in his sleep. Naruto-kun, the voice whined cutely. Ramen, Naruto said, still deep in his sleep. Oh well, I tried the easy way, the voice said, and the next thing Naruto knew, he felt ice cold water thrash on his face. Bwaaa. Kya. Naruto had shot to his feet in alarm. He then realized he was in the mindscape with Kurama lying on her butt and glaring at him. You scared me, she shouted. I'm S. Naruto stopped his apology when he noticed the bucket next to her. His brow twitched in annoyance. Did you put water on me? He asked, glaring back. Kurama looked bashful but quickly composed herself. That's not important. We need to talk, Kurama stated, deciding to dodge the subject. About what? Naruto asked. The Jubi, Kurama said. What about it? Naruto asked seriously. He knew that thing was in Hitomi already. Do you remember the history behind it? Kurama asked. I kinda forgot, Naruto replied honestly while scratching his head. Figures. We'll leave that for later. This is a big issue, Naruto. Not many people know about the Jubi and what it can do, but I for one haven't been truthful in revealing information about it, Kurama said. When she was a fox, it didn't seem like an interesting subject, but now that thing was back and that could be really dangerous. All I know is that thing is a monster and I'm going to destroy it, Naruto said with as much confidence as he could master. Naruto. That thing is the reason that Jujutsu exist. It contains the Sharingan and the Rinnegan, so many powers. If it is allowed to transform into its final stage, then it would contain the forbidden fruit, and that is the most dangerous of all, Kurama said seriously. Why? Naruto asked scaredly. When Kurama was serious, then nothing was a laughing matter. The fruit itself has the potential to make the wilder into the equivalent of a deity with its power, Kurama said. Wow. Naruto said shocked. Something that could make you close to a god. That was just so wrong. Not just that, but if the Jubi were to be allowed into its final stage in the real world, then no one but the Sage of Six Paths could stop it from destroying the world, since it alone holds more power than all the Bijus combined, Kurama said. Wow, and he thought things couldn't get bad enough. While people were busy focusing on what they will do with their loved ones at the spring festival, he was worried about the existence of human life in general. He really hated this job sometimes. Naruto-kun, why you don't have to come with us, Hinata said nervously while standing behind Hanabi and holding her shoulders gently. Hinata had gone to Hanabi's room, in the Hyuga compound, and had carefully taken Hanabi, with the assistance of Neji, from the Hyuga compound to the apartment so they could properly get ready to see Saya. They were all ready to go until Naruto had come out of the bedroom, already done with his morning routine, and asked what they were doing, in which she gave him the answer and he suggested to come along. So now here they were, trying not to burden him with what they were about to do, but for some reason Naruto refused to listen to them. Don't worry. I can provide backup if anything's fishy, Naruto said cheerfully. It's not like we need it. Saya's just one woman moron, Hanabi said irritably. She wanted to get this over with as soon as possible and Naruto was just delaying progress. Don't be rude, Hanabi. Naruto-kun. I'm sure there isn't anything to worry about, Hinata said, trying her best to convince him not worry himself. Just in case, guys, Naruto said with a thumbs up, and Hanabi just threw her hands up in defeat. Okay, Hinata said. She was pretty confused why Naruto was insisting on accompanying them. Naruto didn't even know why he wanted to go with them, but he couldn't really help it. Just the thought of anything happening to either Hinata or Hanabi made him uncomfortable. He knew they could take care of themselves. Hell, they've both been trained in the Hyuga style of fighting, Juken, but he still couldn't stop himself. He was sure he heard Kurama that time, but he couldn't call her on it. They walked together on the street of Konoha in awkward silence. Hanabi was walking in front while Naruto and Hinata walked side by side. Hanabi took a glance at them and was momentarily shocked. Hinata was blushing and looking pretty shy right now, probably because she was really close to Naruto that they would bump and touch each other on occasion, and Naruto. He looked as oblivious as ever, but he did smile at Hinata and ask her, in a soft voice, if she was okay many times, and that's what shocked Hanabi so much. Naruto was being attentive. He was making sure Hinata was comfortable and taking glances at her when she wasn't looking. God, they actually looked like a couple just starting out. Hinata looked like the nervous girlfriend that was afraid of saying or doing something to mess up, and Naruto looked like the confident boyfriend who would protect Hinata but fail in hiding his own nervousness. How did she miss this? Did they even know it themselves? Wow, Hanabi whispered in astonishment. This was just way too weird for her. What's wrong, Hanabi? Hinata asked worriedly. Nothing. Hanabi said a little too quickly for Hinata's taste, but Hinata decided not to pry. We should be coming to Saya's place soon, Hanabi said, looking straight ahead. Right, Naruto said seriously. He didn't really know where they were headed and he didn't even know this Saya person, but he wouldn't let Hinata and Hanabi just go there by themselves. Yeah, even he didn't know where on earth that train of thought came from. They approached a small house that Hanabi could immediately identify. That's the place, Hanabi said. Looks normal to me, Naruto said confusedly. Hanabi knocked on the door and they all waited a few seconds before the door opened and on the other side was Saya. Hanabi-chan. Who are your friends? Saya asked curiously. Actually, this is my sister Hinata and that's her friend Naruto, Hanabi said. Yo. Naruto waved cheerfully. My name is Saya. It is very nice to meet you all, Saya said as she bowed. It is nice to meet you too, Saya-san, Hinata bowed in return. Something about Saya was strange. The moment Hinata looked into Saya's eyes, she immediately felt a connection, deep within her. Something about Saya seemed so familiar, but she couldn't tell if her assumption was correct or if it was just her imagination. Forgive me for not welcoming you into my home sooner, Saya said as she motioned for them to come inside. They all took seat on the sofas. Would you like anything to drink? Saya asked politely. No thank you, Saya-san. We actually came to thank you for helping Hanabi, Hinata said, then shifted a bit nervously when she realized her thigh was touching Naruto's leg. Oh, it was no problem at all. She is a very delightful child, Saya said warmly while looking at Hanabi. Are you sure that's the same Hanabi you're talking about? Oof. Naruto joked, then he was met with an elbow to the gut from the irate Hyuga heiress. I'm positive Naruto-kun, Saya said warmly. Naruto was a bit surprised that Saya was using such a personal honorific so soon, but he wasn't complaining. She seemed like a really nice lady. I have to admit I have never seen you around Konoha. Are you new to the village? Hinata asked curiously. She needed to know everything about this woman who had been seeing Hanabi. Not really. I moved here a few months ago, but I am still trying to adjust, Saya said. She knew exactly what her daughter was trying to do. Which village did you belong to before you moved here? Hinata asked. I wasn't born in any village. I traveled a lot before I came to Konoha, so it's safe to say that I'm not aligned with any village that could become Konoha's enemy, Saya smiled. So how are you finding Konoha? Is it better than all those other places you've been to? Naruto asked. I can't really put it into words, but I'd prefer Konoha over the rest, Saya said. Have you ever tried Ichiraku's ramen? Naruto asked with an excited grin. Here we go, Hanabi whispered as she rolled her eyes. Here they were trying to get to know the woman and Naruto had to bring ramen into the picture. I can't say I have, Naruto-kun, Saya said, struggling not to grin herself. He was Minato's son, alright. You should try it. There are so many flavors. I'll list them off for you. Naruto was cut off with a hand landing tentatively, and hesitantly, on his own. Naruto-kun, I don't think we should be talking about ramen right now, Hinata said nervously. She mentally gave herself a pat on the back. She was getting bolder. She was touching him now and she wasn't fainting, even if she still felt a bit lightheaded. This only meant one thing. She was starting to get used to him, she hoped. She's right, Naruto-kun. We could talk about that later, but right now I want to get to know all of you, Saya said. They talked for a long time, getting to know more about each other, Saya giving them practice details on her past, before she came to Konoha. Hitomi was delighted to know that her babies had gotten closer since she died, and she was proud of Hinata. She may have seemed shy and nervous, but when it came to looking after Hanabi, then Hinata was a different person altogether. She was a big sister. Hitomi could see the protective attitude Hinata exuded when it came to Hanabi, and she could see the love each of them had for each other. Hanabi could hide it well, but nothing could ever escape a mother. The conversation seemed to be going well, but that changed soon enough. Some people in Konoha are pretty cool, but the ones you should keep away from are those hayuuga fart bags. Naruto whispered the last part loudly, enough for everyone to hear. Hanabi rolled her eyes again, but she didn't disagree. Oh, aren't the Hyuuga clan considered royalty in Konoha? Saya asked. Yeah, and I think that's the problem. They let it get to their heads and develop huge egos, Naruto said, emphasizing his words with hand movements. Like you. Hanabi jabbed. Hey, I'm not that bad, Naruto said with a frown. Come now, Naruto-kun. I'm sure the Hyuuga clan aren't that bad, Saya said. She was a bit confused on why Hinata and Hanabi didn't voice their disagreement when Naruto called the Hyuugas fart bags. You kidding me? They're the ones who torture their own people, Naruto said. He was getting angry just think about it. Saya paused as her eyes widened slightly. How on earth could she forget? The caged bird seal, that cursed seal. Her mouth dried up a little as she thought of it. Only branch members were branded with that seal, and it was tradition to brand the second born of the current Hyuga head, which she knew was still Hiashi, but upon looking at Hanabi she saw no seal. She mentally sighed in relief. If Hiashi ever branded any of her children, then nothing would stop her from killing him. She made him promise to look after them before she passed away, and it seemed that he had kept to his word. Oh, how wrong she was. How awful. I heard that they use a curse seal on their very own people and only the branch faction of the Hyuga clan get it, Saya said in sadness. It was truly sad how the Hyuga clan operated. Her heart went out to all those that suffered at the hands of that disgusting seal, but soon she will change that by taking away all chakra. Not even heiresses are safe, Hanabi whispered and looked at Hinata sadly. Hinata smiled warmly at Hanabi but kept to herself. Saya saw this and her relief quickly turned to dread. Alarm bells were ringing in her head. A lot of people wouldn't think too much on Hanabi's words, but Saya wasn't someone you would link to a lot of people. Something definitely happened and it didn't seem good either. She looked at Hinata and saw her wearing her forehead protector. Her fears only increased. Shinju, do you sense any chakra from my daughter's forehead? Hitomi asked in trepidation. Quote. Which one? Shinju wanted to toy with the woman for